Hi, folks. This is Mark by Mark A. Foster, Ph.D., for the Institute for Dialectical Meta-Realism. Let's get rolling. Life is good, at least for me. Sadly, life is not good for the people in Gaza. And so I will devote this particular episode of my podcast to the Gazans once again, many of whom have just been killed. I don't know what to make of it. As you know, it's a heart-wrenching situation. I don't think anyone really knows what to make of it. There is global outrage against the events in Gaza perpetrated by the Zionist entity, Israel. And yet the killings go on with no end in sight, or at least no end that I can see. So it's a real tragedy when so many people have been killed. And these people are my brothers and sisters. As an Ashkenazi Jew, I regard them that way. I see them as my beloved family. But in a larger sense, all of us on this planet are a single family. We all belong to one family, even though we don't seem to act like it much of the time. But especially for me, the Gazans, they are my family. I wish right now that I were a Gazan. I wish I could say that. I can't. I am not a Gazan. But I love them. I care for them. I treasure them as if they were the members of my own family, literally. Literally. But they are not. I doubt whether I know any of them. My former dentist in Olathe, Kansas, well, Olathe, then Leawood, Kansas, Lenexa, Kansas, was a Gazan, but she has been in the US for a long time. She is very Americanized, a wonderful woman. I would always express my sympathy and my condolences to her whenever more Gazans would be killed. And so, as a Maoist third worldist, I take my stand right now with the Gazans, and only with the Gazans in Greater West Asia. They're the ones I care about. Why are Arab countries not standing up for the Gazans? They're not. What a tragedy. Lip service is all we get. Lip service. Stop killing so many people. As if that is going to stop a monster. It won't. It won't. The monster will go on and continue behaving like a monster, because that is what monsters do. To expect anything else is a fool's errand. It is delusional. No one should expect anything else. No one should. And so the killing goes on. The tragedy goes on. And spreads. And spreads. And may soon spread once again into Iran. May. We don't know. Iran does not want to fight with Israel. Why? Well, because Iran is outmatched by Israel. In any war between the Zionist entity and Iran, it appears to me that the Zionist entity will almost certainly win. It is like a David and Goliath story. But remember, in the end, David killed Goliath. He did. But that is just fiction. That is a parable, a fairy tale, a metaphor, whatever you want to call it. That is not reality. In reality, Davids don't kill Goliaths. That is not what happens. Goliaths kill Davids. And so the catastrophe continues. And so the killing goes on and on with no real prospect of any meaningful change, at least for now. At least for now. Now, is it possible that David might kill Goliath in real life in Greater West Asia? It is possible. However unlikely, there is always that possibility. Israel is dying. Economically, it is a dead country. There is little hope in the future in Israel. Israel has weapons given to it primarily by the US, but not only by the US. And Israel is using those weapons to kill innocent civilians, people who have not done anything wrong to Israel or to Israelis. Does that matter to King Bibi? No. No. It does not matter at all. And so, again, the killing goes on. The killing goes on. One tragedy after another. Now Gaza, now Lebanon, maybe next, once again, Iran. Who knows? Maybe then Israel. Who knows? Nobody knows the future. Least of all me. Least of all me. I wish I did, in a way. assuming that the future was hopeful. If it is not, no, I don't want to know. Call me a coward, and maybe I am one, but I do not want to know. I want to see the first world die. I want to see the third world and the fourth world, both of which are represented by Gaza, thrive and survive. But that right now seems to be a dream. Little more than a dream. I don't see how we can get to that point right now. But I am just a feeble individual. Maybe we can. When Israel, and I say when, not if, when Israel and the rest of the first world die, and it is only a matter of time, only a matter of time. The dialectic is killing the first world, and so mote it be. So mote it be. The dialectic should kill the first world. I wish it were quicker. I wish, but my wishes are inconsequential. It doesn't really matter what I want. I cannot be Pollyannish. I need to look at the reality as it exists right now. I am a realist, a Bhaskarian critical realist, meaning a critical realist in the school of the late Roy Bhaskar, whom I love. I love Roy. I wish he were still alive. He might be able to offer us some words of consolation. Maybe. He might. But that cannot happen. Not now. Not ever. I wanted to go ahead and read for you an article from Reuters, a news agency which began in the UK and which is now in the US, because I think that this article basically sums the whole thing up. I mean, I don't know anything that could sum it up better than this article. So here it is. The headline: Israeli strike kills nearly 100 more. 100 more, it should say, in Gaza, in a school refuge, officials say. A school refuge in Gaza, bombed by the Israeli Defense Forces, officials say. It is written by Nidal El-Maghrabi, dateline August 10th. August 10th, today. The story was updated 1 hour ago, just 1 hour ago. I'll skip the summary. You can see it right there and begin reading the article. I will, as always, post a link to this article directly below the video. Cairo. Cairo. That's where the story was written. An Israeli airstrike on a Gaza City school compound housing displaced Palestinian families killed around 100 people, the Gaza Civil Emergency Service said on Saturday. That is today. While Israel said the toll was inflated. Big freaking deal what Israel says. Big freaking deal. They are about as trustworthy as a member of the old mafia. And I knew somebody who was in the mafia. I didn't know he was in the mafia until after I stopped knowing him, but I knew him when he was a hitman in the mafia. I wish I had known when he was. He used to push people off the tops of buildings in New York City. That almost sounds innocent compared to what just happened in that refugee camp in Gaza, in a Gaza school. Video from the site showed body parts scattered among rubble and more bodies being carried away and covered by blankets. Empty food tins lay in a puddle of blood, and burned mattresses and a child's doll lay in the debris. In another video, men prayed over a dozen body bags laid on the ground of the Tabin school complex. I want to remember that name. The Tabin school. The Tabin school. Let that name forever be cherished in our minds and our memories. A refugee camp. The Israeli strike drew condemnation from Arab states. Good. Now do something about it. They won't. They won't. I don't think they will anyway. From Turkey, France, Britain, and the European Union, as an expression of deep concern, how courageous, from the US, which has been working with partners to prevent the 10-month-old Gaza conflict from escalating into a regional war. How is it not a regional war right now? It seems to me to be a regional war. I am not an expert on such things, but looking at it, if you attack Gaza, if you attack Hezbollah, if you attack Iran, that is a regional war. Pretending it's not does no good. No good at all. We are already in a regional war. Gaza's Civil Emergency Service, which has a credible record, unlike Israel, in stating casualty numbers, and the Hamas-run government media office said in separate statements that the complex had been attacked while its occupants were performing dawn prayers. Performing dawn prayers. That's when it was attacked. What a tragedy. And even tragedy is not a harsh enough word for it. So far, there are more than 93 martyrs, including 11 children and 6 women. There are unidentified remains. Unidentified remains. What does that mean? It means that the remains are too badly damaged to be identified. It means that you can't even look at a body and be able to tell what it is or who it was, whether it was male or female, perhaps whether it was an adult or a child. Unidentified remains. Tens of thousands of displaced Palestinians have sought shelter in Gaza's schools. Not safe anymore, most of which have been closed since Israel's war against Hamas began. Around 350 families have been sheltering at the compound, Bissell said. Some of the hundreds of thousands of Palestinians displaced by Israel's onslaught in Gaza. The upper floor housing families and the lower floor used as a mosque were both hit, he said. Again, the Israeli military said the toll was inflated. Again, a blatant lie from a country that cannot be trusted even with the weather. The strike was carried out using precise munitions, which cannot cause the amount of damage that is being reported. BS, the military said in a statement. In a lie. It added that no severe damage was caused to the compound and provided aerial photos and videos, which it said proved this. Proved this. By the Zionist entity? There is no such thing as proved this. Nothing. The country cannot be trusted with anything. The compound and the mosque that was struck within it served as an active Hamas and Islamic Jihad military facility. Lieutenant Colonel Nadav Shosashi said on X, Twitter, without providing evidence. Thank you, Reuters, for adding that. An Israeli army official said the part of the mosque that was struck was reserved for men. Even if that were true, does that make it better? Even if. Hamas said the strike was a horrific crime and a serious escalation. Izzat el-Rashik of Hamas's political office said the dead did not include a single combatant, meaning they were all civilians. I believe Hamas. I do not believe the Israeli Defense Forces, the IDF. Later in the day, an Israeli strike killed 3 Palestinians in Rafah. Remember Rafah? More killings in Rafah, near the border with Egypt. No, on the border with Egypt. On the border with Egypt, medics said. Separately, the Israeli military said the head of general security in Hamas's military wing, Walid al-Susi, had been killed in southern Gaza. There was no immediate Hamas comment. The Iranian-backed Hezbollah armed group in Lebanon said it launched a drone attack. Not enough. Not enough. Against military positions in northern Israel. Israel's military said there were no casualties. The White House said far too many civilians continue to be killed and wounded, even as it continues to send weapons to Israel, even as it continues to send weapons to the Zionist entity. Far too many civilians continue to be killed and wounded in the Gaza war. And it was asking Israeli officials for further details on the school compound strike. Why are you asking Israeli officials? Why not ask Hamas? They will not ask Hamas. They will not ask Hamas. The European Union's foreign policy chief, Josep Borrell, said on X Twitter that he was horrified by the images from the school. A spokesperson for Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas, Nabil Abu Rudineh, urged Israel's ally Washington to end blind support that leads to the killing of thousands of innocent civilians, including children, women, and the elderly. Will that work? I doubt it. Egypt, Qatar, the United Arab Emirates, the UAE, and Saudi Arabia all condemned the strike. Okay, good. Now what will you do? Sit on your butts. That's what you'll do. Condemn Israel and then sit on your butts. Do nothing. Senior Hamas official Sami Abu, which means father, Zuri, said it should serve as a turning point as mediators continue to resume ceasefire talks. A Hamas official told Reuters the group was studying a new proposal for discussion, but did not elaborate. Speaking to Al Jazeera television, Khalil El-Hayya, the head of the Hamas team for the indirect ceasefire talks with Israel, how much longer does he have to live? Said statements of condemnation were no longer sufficient. They never were sufficient. Dismiss Israeli ambassadors. Close down embassies. And sever ties with the occupation, he said. Yeah? Correct. Egypt, the United States, and Qatar have scheduled a new round of ceasefire negotiations for Thursday, as fears grow of a broader conflict involving Iran and Hezbollah. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who said he will not end the war until Hamas no longer poses a threat to Israelis, said he would send a delegation. What about until Israel no longer poses a threat to Gaza? No, that's not what Bibi Netanyahu is saying. He could care less about Gaza and the Gazans. Israeli finance minister Bezalel Smotrich pushed back against the White House's accusation on Friday that he was dead wrong in asserting that the ceasefire deal on the table would be a surrender to Hamas. In a post on X, Smotrich, one of Netanyahu's far-right coalition partners, thanked the U.S. for its support. All these thoughts go around in my head, and most of them I never even voice. Should I voice what I'm thinking? Yeah. Let me say it. And they will all meet together in hell. That's what I believe. They will all meet together in hell. There is a special place in hell now being prepared for Netanyahu, for Biden, and for all those supporting them. Israel launched its assault on Gaza after Hamas fighters stormed into southern Israel, on October 7th, killing 1,200 people, mostly civilians, and capturing more than 250 hostages, according to Israeli tallies. Since then, officials say nearly 40,000 Palestinians have been killed in the Israeli offensive in Gaza, according to the health ministry. Gaza health officials say most of the fatalities have been civilians, but Israel says at least a third are fighters. Do not believe Israel. Do not believe Israel. I'm not saying to unquestionably accept what Hamas says. No. We should all be critical thinkers. But do not believe Israel. Please do not believe Israel. Israel says it has lost 329 soldiers in Gaza, and that is the end of the story. I am sorry for my passion. I am passionate about this, as you know, if you've been watching me for a while. But I do not know how to effectively present what I think should be done because I don't know what should be done. I have no idea of what should be done. I would like to see Netanyahu in prison, on death row. I would like to see Biden in prison, on death row. I would like to see all the IDF soldiers, yes, all of them, not only the officers, in prison, on death row as well. That is what I want. That is what I wish. Will I get my wish? I doubt it. I really doubt it. And so the tragedy goes on. The suffering goes on. More Palestinians are killed. More of my brethren are killed. With no accountability. But there will be, I believe, an accountability. When the capitalist world system is destroyed, which is going to happen, I don't know when, but it will. That will be an accountability of some sort. That will be the beginning of the end of Soros for the Palestinians. Then they too will have a reason to raise a fist in the air and declare victory, which they cannot do right now because there is no victory. There is only suffering, death, and torture. That is the life of the average Gazan. Regardless, I don't know what else to say. I am at a loss for words. I hope you are too. I genuinely hope that you too are at a loss for words, because that means that you care. That means that you don't know what to say or what to do. For the time being, this has been Mark by Mark A. Foster, Ph.D. for the Institute for Dialectical Meta-Realism. Have a pleasant day and an even better day tomorrow.